Hello, everyone. Today is October 9th, 2020. This is Kops Office Hours. I'm your moderator, Peter Reifel. This is a reminder that the meeting's being recorded and will be put on the internet, so please follow the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which comes down to be a good person. We'll start the agenda with reviewing action items from the last meeting. First is the 119 branch plan.
This may have been on me. I was a little neglectful this week of formal items. It seems like the good news is we were active in Hacktoberfest. The bad news is that sort of seemed to take over everything else.
This is just the plan.
That's fair.
It's conditioned by getting NLB, I guess, or that was one of the blockers.
It was certainly a blocker for 119. I couldn't remember whether we'd chosen.
I don't think it's a blocker for branching, because we can always cherry pick.
But I will write it down, and I will if our consensus is that we should branch, which I believe it was, I will write that down as an action item to after this meeting to do that branch.
I don't see any reason not to branch. Anyone else have concerns?
No, just try for a few weeks not to change anything radically in 120. I mean in master.
I do think that any of the maintainers can branch. I don't know. I think, Peter, you've pushed a branch in the past.
Intentionally?
I think it was you. I remember someone pushed a branch unintentionally. So I know that other people can push branches. But yes, I'm happy to do it. If another maintainer wants to try it, that would be an interesting thing to make sure that it is not we're trying to get rid of all the centralization points, and this would be hopefully a relatively easy one to cross off the list.
Yeah. Anyone want to volunteer to do that? Or I can do it?
You're the volunteer.
Okay.
So just ping me if it doesn't work, and I'll try to figure out what's gone wrong, but I think it should work.
Cool. I'll give that a shot after the call. Next on the action items, I had a PR open for adding bottle rocket support, and I needed some advice on the task dependencies and having the user data now dependent on the CA. And I think Justin was going to take a look at that.
I feel like we should do that as a live stream, Hacktoberfest live stream. Then we can both do Hacktoberfest and do this, but I will also write it down as something to take a look at.
Okay. Nothing more on that one, really. Next.
Well, actually, I think there's also another issue is that now I think Bottle Rocket might have an issue with the kubelet serving certificate and metric server PR that just landed. So.
Will it be the same class issue then?
Well, since it doesn't use kops controller, it won't have a kubelet certificate issued from the cluster CA. So then metric server will have issues.
Well, I guess we can make an exception if it's bottle rocket to use insecure TLS.
Yeah, you'd have to know the cluster has bottle rocket in it or something like that.
It is a special setting in the instance group for bottle rocket.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up that issue.
I'm concerned that this is very, very, very different from anything that we support. That's my only concern. I know it's juicy. I know people want it. Not quite sure it's...
Well, that's my concern too, so.
On that note, I think it's a valid concern to bring up. On that note, would it be possible, for example, to run an initialization pod?
I believe that you can pass containers that can launch at boot time.
So yeah, we can look at. I'll look at that. That sounds like if we could do something like that and maybe run node up in there, maybe we'd be happy. Maybe.
You mean kind of like we do with protocube to run node up with full access?
Yes. It would be nice if it wasn't full access, right? Like it'd be nice if actually we somehow didn't need full access. Like we could actually just get away with just writing like the certificates and things like that. But I mean, obviously then we have the Docker problem. So, but.
Well, we still have tons of other problems, like everything in node up is not working. That's why I'm saying that if we want to run it, we have to run it with full access and then see what this, well, what the Amazon people remove from it. It may or may not work for security purposes. So, and the other question is, do we want it in 1.19 or do we want to, not sure how ready it is, or?
I think it's feature flagged, or I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. As
Okay,
long as it's
so
feature flagged, I think we're fine.
Okay, so should be pretty fine, even if people that really want it can go to it and
it might break for them on the next upgrade.
hmm?
And it might break for them on the next upgrade because we changed something. Because it's feature
Well,
flagged.
we can add some E2E testing. I think Peter already did that, or didn't you get the chance to do it?
That is in progress.
Ah, okay.
I mean, the goal of the feature flag is to clearly delineate the areas where we do not make a guarantee. It's not that we will accidentally break something. It's that we reserve the right to deliberately break it because it makes it for a better experience. But yeah, an ET test would be nice, but it's not going to help. It's not going to make the feature magically. It's not guaranteeing that we're going to not change it.
Oh, no, I was just responding to John saying that we may break it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying the same thing. We may intentionally break it for the next release.
Okay.
So,
I think we can move on from that. So next action item from last time was the NLB support.
yeah, that was added by me. Sorry to say, but I think we made a mistake last time complicating the feature for making it work with you know, both NLB and classic load balancer and priorities, because this should merge as soon as possible and then tweak it more, adding more stuff in it. I feel that this is delayed by complicating the logic.
Is there a simpler, I mean, I see that like the PR is still work in progress, right? Is there a simpler path that we can extract? Like, is there something you're proposing in terms of a
Well,
simplification?
I think the person already did some of the changes. I'm not really sure because I didn't actively review it. It's kind of huge and I think it's still work in progress. So, but if our changes to allow both ELB and NLB at the same time are complicating things, maybe we should strip these things and make it as simple as possible, at least to get the NLB support, and then maybe some of us can help improve on this. I mean, this is blocking what Peter is trying to fix with the ACM, which is the actual broker for 119. Somehow, I think things are very slow there. So either we take a decision that this is no longer a blocker and, well, we put a big label on 119 that doesn't work with ACM, and I don't know when it will work, or try to simplify things here?
Let's see. I was talking to them. We are exploring of an alternative where you just flip it and then it leaves the old one behind on the first run. And then the next time you do an update cluster, it cleans it up. So basically deferring the cleanup of the old one.
I was thinking to do it without this cleanup first. So merge it as simple as possible, and then think about either cleanup or making them run in parallel or something like that. At least the bulk of it in. So to work only for new clusters.
In other words, to add the NLB feature, like a standalone NLB feature for a brand new cluster, opt-in
or
only.
For an old cluster, but you accept that for 5 minutes you will have downtime on API server.
Right, and then so we're basically taking this PR and we're suggesting to split it.
Yeah.
On that basis, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It is already split into 7 commits, so I can have a look at what Christian has already done. Maybe that is. Yeah, maybe it's mostly done that already. We can have a look and see. I will definitely take a look at this as well because it is important. I apologize for not having got to it this time.
I remember the issues being around cleanup and getting it into DNS, and also getting the health check in.
The size will be greatly reduced of the PR if we split it up into introduce NLB as the first one, which would then mean that we can really see the sort of sticking points, right? Because I don't think anyone objects to the NLB or has any issues with the NLB support. I'm sure that we'll find a couple of minor things, but nothing serious. And then, but yeah, the nuances of how the prioritization works is much trickier. And so like having a small PR which introduces that would be good. But I can take a look at this anyway.
Okay, so I'll say, where did I go?
Cool.
If anyone has other ideas, I don't mind.
Okay. So moving on to the open discussion, the first item is PR that I opened.
Open discussion, sorry. Thought.
First PR is kubetest, which is the test tool that we use to run our E2E tests. They have a new kubetest 2, and I've been wanting us to migrate to it, mostly because the original kubetest is under maintenance mode, so they are not accepting big features to it, and we want to add new features to our E2E testing so that we can, test more, have improved test coverage. And so this PR kind of sets up the initial setup for kubetest 2. It uses a new Go module. It doesn't vendor the dependencies. There's complications with how we'll run periodic jobs because they don't clone the kops repo. And so we have to decide how we will build the kubetest 2 kops binary and which commits we use for that when we're doing periodics. And I have a few suggestions for that. But yeah, that's kind of mostly how I was envisioning it. Right now, it only does a build and publish to GCS, but it should be good to extend further to actually launch clusters and run the Kubernetes E2E test suite. So if anyone has any opinions or suggestions for it.
That looks good. Thanks, Peter. I will take a look at this. Definitely, it looks really good. And I like it, and I feel confident we can figure out something for the issue described around periodics. That is also the biggest go sum I've ever seen. I hope that is not accurate, but it is. Yes, it doesn't. I suppose it doesn't really matter. So it's a good call on splitting that out to be a separate Go module.
Cool. No other comments on that. We can move. I'm going to rearrange these. John, the node labels from Cloud Tags.
Yeah, I just want to remind Justin to please review that PR because it's been open for a while. That's all I have.
Sorry.
Okay. And then we're flying through these. Last item in the open discussion is choosing a next meeting day and time for Oktoberfest or Hacktoberfest. We did, let's see, we've done Thursday at
9 Eastern.
9 Eastern and Tuesday at 9 Eastern. Do we want to keep doing one of those or switch to a new slot?
Wednesday or Thursday again?
Just opening up my personal calendar. Yeah, I mean, we can try. I don't know if we. I'm trying to look at like the sort of the different one is Tuesday at 11, but I feel like that conflicts with something. Like in terms of being like so far we've done early or morning ones. 11. I think this is Eastern, right? Yes, 11 Eastern.
Yeah, for me, 10 and 11 don't work very well because they're morning routine. 9 works because I can just get up and leave my camera off, but.
Got it. So I mean, we could do another. I mean, we could do another Wednesday or Thursday earlier morning. Then I think we did have some people join from Europe. Mostly the normal Kubernetes people, just different groups, different like not necessarily the kops groups. So that was good. Anyone have a preference on Monday? Oh, sorry, Wednesday or Thursday at an early slot, either 9 or 10, I guess, or there's technically 8 there, though that will probably exclude the West Coast.
That would probably be too much.
That would be a bridge too far. Actually, I don't think I can do it. I have my routine, which is butts into the very beginning of that. So either 9 or 10, I think would be better on either Wednesday or Thursday. It looks like they all have either 2 or 3 votes. So
I think Oli Marcus said that he's okay with both of them at 9. So he may join if it's 9 and not 10.
So should we do 9 on Wednesday? Nine on Thursday, 9 on Wednesday. But like I suggested Wednesday because Wednesday was closer and better divided the week, as it were.
Okay, then let's go with Wednesday if no one has any preference.
Wednesday, 9 Eastern, it is. Cool. And that's, just to be clear, that's this next week, not 2 weeks from now.
It's the 14th, I believe.
Okay. May I ask an unrelated kops question or slightly related? Guy, about the cluster autoscaler ARM64 build. Do you have any feedback on that from the maintainer there?
Yeah, I think they said they're more than happy to accept a PR for it. There's not currently a plan from the maintainer to raise that PR themselves, but they're happy to review it whenever it's raised.
Cool. I already have something work in progress, so
Awesome.
I will prepare it. Thanks a lot for asking.
That's all right. If you need to make sure eyes get on it, feel free to ping me and I can get in touch with the right people.
Okay, I will CC you when I create the PR, and also the person that you said it's a maintainer for that file.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cool. No worries.
Cool. Any other discussion items before we move into the release plans?
Prakash here. Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what is this Hacktober? What do you do really? I see the list there, attendees, 4 or 5 of you. So what is that? You bring something individually and work on some problems or on the spot and solve it? Is that the idea?
It's more of like a, I think the core idea is to encourage people to work on open source and hack on open source. And we are interpreting that in an ongoing and fluid way and trying to decide what that means. So we had a couple of sort of kickoff meetings where we basically talked about, things that we're interested in working on over the sort of month to couple of month horizon in the people that showed up. And it is sponsored, the official Hacktoberfest event is sponsored by DigitalOcean. And if people send 3 or 4, I can't recall, PRs, I believe DigitalOcean will send them a t-shirt. That's kind of beside the point, I think, of how we are doing it. But yeah, we're just trying to encourage either new contributors or people to that are existing contributors to work on something over that sort of time period, and also using it to experiment with different time slots. So if you're interested in hacking on kops or hacking on something unrelated to kops, ideally related to Kubernetes in that group, but it doesn't much matter other than the fact that we won't be able to tell you or won't have any real opinions about other things, then it's great to sort of come along if you can, or just work sort of digitally and like on GitHub and look for the Hacktoberfest tags for repos or issues or things like that.
Okay, I will join, but I'm adding my name, and I'll figure out what to do a little bit later, but at least trying to attend and see what I can do.
That sounds great. That's very much in the spirit of the event, just coming along and just trying to get.
So this is Wednesday, Eastern time, 9 a.m. This coming week.
Yes, I think it's the 14th.
Okay. 14th, okay.
And we have some issues marked as Hacktoberfest or Good First Issue with those labels, and that might be a good place to look for work.
Oh yeah, okay, good first issues I can pick up. Yeah, thank you. That helps.
Just on the previous mini topic around ARM images, we actually talked about it in the Hacktoberfest meetings, I think, but I think one of the blockers for etcd manager's ARM image was trying to find a good base image. And I think we found the Debian 10 image that Docker maintains, Docker Inc. maintains. And it seems reproducible and good in that regard. I just have to make sure that it is actually reproducible, and I've so far failed to do so. So I intend to continue working on that. But once we are confident that that is a reasonable base image that we can reproduce, then I think we will have a base image that is a stock Debian image that we can work from for I call it the fat images, where they have like not the distroless, but a couple of extra binaries.
Cool. Moving into the release plan, any releases we need to do in the next 2 weeks? I saw something merged into 118.
There are some things for 118. One of them is that 118 doesn't work on GovCloud. because of some S3 thing. It's fixed, it's there, so can be done. There is some request, and also kops upgrade doesn't work on 118 because it looks for images starting with cop.io to replace. There is a PR there that's not quite there, but once it is in, I hope that that person can finish it. If not, I will try to, I think I can try to put something into 118 if you don't mind, but someone would have to do, well, Justin would have to do the release. Would it, so are we okay with the 118 release?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, sir. I meant from the point of view of the work. I just wanted to clarify. You said kops upgrade is broken. You mean literally the kops upgrade command. You do not mean that upgrading kops is broken.
Yes, the upgrade command.
It's better. Not great, but yeah, it's still, that's much better. All right, good.
Yeah.
I think we might want another alpha
That's good. So we're,
because we keep it. Yeah, we need to pick up that protocube change.
Yeah, I think there are some other, there are a few other things in Node App and protocube that would be nice to get. Do we want to wait for something before it, or do you want to do it over the weekend?
We got the kubelet thing in, so.
I suggest I do it over the weekend unless there's anything imminent, and I can do another one on the alpha front.
Yeah.
So if you want, I can do it again. I don't mind doing the alpha.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Unless someone else wants to try to go through it. Okay, I'm the volunteer.
And I will do 118.2, it looks like. But we're gonna wait for a fix for the kops upgrade command.
I will do the fix either this evening or early tomorrow. So
okay. Don't feel like it's a rush, but like when that fix is in, then we should do a 118.2 is I think what we've decided here.
Yeah.
It's a very simple fix. So the only thing is to get the LGTM. So okay.
Any other releases? I don't think there's anything else. Blockers for 119. A lot of these are issues. Not all of them have PRs for them. So the first one is the load balancer task is always showing a diff during a cluster update with the for API server field.
Yes, I can do this one. I think I said I would do this one. I just didn't get around to it this time, but I can certainly do this in that it is not. I think this is straightforward, unless anyone else got to it.
Okay, next one is the kubeconfig, exporting the context, but not the credentials.
Again, I'll do that.
The next is the client cert auth doesn't work. That's blocked by the NLB. Once the NLB PR lands, I can handle that.
So that's where it would be good to, sorry to interrupt. That's where it would be good to separate out the initial support for NLB, and that we can then verify that NLB works, and then we can figure out how to safely introduce NLB.
So
and then
both Peter and the person that does the NLB part could work in parallel if the NLB initial support is in. Right, Peter?
Yeah, I could even build a PR off of his first few commits, depending on how easily they're separated, just to get the target group and security group changes in place for the client cert auth issue. We've already discussed the NLB, PR, etcd manager, volume failures gracefully.
Well, these were some things for Justin to look. I think all three of them.
Yes, I was trying to get this image thing done, which I thought would be fast. It wasn't, so I think I'm closer. I'll try to get the image, which is actually the third one, I guess, ARM64. The ARM64 image figured out, and then we can move forwards.
I still think that it might be easier to just revert the previous image so that it would not mean so much rebasing for the ARM PR. Considering that we will replace it anyway, so.
Okay. Yes, I think we agree on that. But we do still need to find a supported ARM image.
For the previous one, there was already. You found it, but it was unsupported. At least it worked.
Yes, the one that we were using previously, I think, was
Debian proto.
No, it was the Kubernetes base image, I think.
Yeah.
And the problem is when they went to the next version, when they went to Buster, I think they dropped a bunch of packages from that image, including mount. The other option is we can go way back in time to where we originally built it, which would still work, where we start from scratch, literally scratch, and just install just the packages we need by just expanding them without doing an installation, which is probably better than any of the other options, except it's a little bit more work to maintain. But I don't know. That's if I can't reproduce the other image, that is, if I can't reproduce the official Debian 10 image, then that will be I guess the fallback plan. The nice thing is, if we can reproduce the Debian 10 image, I feel like we don't have to maintain it. We can just assume that they are doing a reasonable job of maintaining the official Debian 10 image.
Rodrigo, I think you have a PR for load balancer.
Yeah.
Pretty much died there, so maybe.
So there's a bug with Terraform. I'm going to call it a bug for a lack of a better explanation, where if you set the load balancer outside of the ASG definition, like with the load balancer attachment, on Terraform 12, every time you run Terraform, it attaches or detaches. It doesn't matter what the state of the Terraform configuration is. The actual apply changes that every single time. I've experienced it with some clusters and not others. So I created that PR so that it does have the load balancer attachment happen on the same block as the ASG creation and not an external attachment. However, there is a downtime for the switch. Peter offered a solution that we may be able to do something where we modify the Terraform state before we do the first apply for that PR. I unfortunately haven't had time to actually test that, and I haven't found any other ways to not take a downtime. So if anyone has a suggestion, I'd be open to modifying that. But that PR may conflict with the NLB PR that's currently open as well. So we may need to take a look at how we want to merge those, or which one we want to merge first.
And that's an issue in 118, so it's not a regression for 119. So we might not need to consider it a blocker for 119.0, but it would definitely be good to have in. Yeah, I think it's related to, in Terraform, you can either define the attachment of a load balancer to an auto-scaling group, either as its own resource or as a field within the auto-scaling group resource. And if you have both or some strange combination of those, it will try to flip-flop back and forth between which one is actually defining the attachment.
In my case, I only had one defined, which is the standard one kops puts out, and I was still seeing that issue. So I'm not sure exactly what's triggering it.
Sorry, did you say there was a bug open for this?
There is, well, there's a bug that was closed. Their recommendations pretty much don't do that or just ignore the load balancers. On the ESG, if you're using a external load balancer attachment.
Sorry, is there a kops bug? Is there a kops bug for it?
No. There is a kops bug for it. There is, here, let me pull the PR. There's links to that as well. 1 second.
9794 is the PR.
Cool. We should put that, yeah, that's great. I think this is also in the blocker list, right? At least as a consideration of a blocker.
I think
That it
we will-
is a bug in 118, so not necessarily a blocker.
Fair.
Okay, any other comments on that one? Any other blockers or anything anyone wants to bring up? Okay, I think everyone's getting 16 minutes back of their time, and we'll see each other in 2 weeks or next Wednesday if you can make it. But otherwise, have a good weekend.
Happy weekend, everybody.
Right.
Thanks for hosting, Peter.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.